Amazing. All right. So just jump right in.
Yeah.
Amazing. Hello, everyone. I am Madhurima. I am a freedom soul coach that helps multi-passionate, ambitious dreamers basically go out there and help them manage their stress and prevent burnout so that they can work on their dreams, manifest their dreams without their own selves holding them back. One of my current missions in life is to make stress management fun and help people realize that it's not something that will take away from your personal or professional life, but it can just be something fun that you do and it still helps you manage your stress. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Beautiful, beautiful, and I
Thank you.
appreciate you being here. So tell me, what's your story?
Whew, my story is pretty big. We can start off with the fact that the work that I'm doing right now revolves deeply around the fact that I have been and I'm pretty sure I will continue to be an ambitious person. But when I was young, I didn't know how to manage my stress, right? Like I was just like, yeah, I have to win. I have to make my parents proud. It's the Asian kid thing. You have to do everything that you can to be the star. And like my parents never kind of forced me or anything like that. But
Yeah,
that just made me want to kind of pile up more expectations on myself to reach an arbitrary uh, kind of status that no one asked
yeah,
me to reach. But then there was also the fact that no, I have to be that person for my parents. And then, obviously, there was the fact that my parents had difficult um, everyone struggles, right? Like they struggled as well, and they were pretty open about their struggles from a really young age, not to impose upon us, but almost to be like, stuff like this happens, you will
yeah.
learn to
There's the
move through it. It's
reality.
completely all, it's the reality, right? And I'm grateful for that, but it also made me be like, you know what, they went through this. I don't want to add any more struggle upon them. So I was always the ambitious kid, and I remember falling sick literally every single time the exams would roll in. Like we had an ongoing joke in the house, like, Honey's, like, that's my pet name. Like, Honey's falling sick. That basically means that the exams are rolling in. Like, they wouldn't even check the timetable.
It's
They'll
time
just
for
look at
exam.
me and they'll be like, exam time, huh? Like, oh, yeah. But no, eventually I feel like that carried forward. My dad wanted me to become a doctor. Once again, every Asian kid thing, right? And I wanted to become a doctor as well because there was that intent of wanting to help people however I can. However,
Yeah,
one thing that happens a lot in India is that the competition is really high. So I remember having fell extremely sick. Like I went to write one of my exams, and these are the base exams, right? Like these are the 12th exams, and I had like 104 fever, and I still went. I still wrote the exam, and I was just like, oh, I'm about to pass out. I did as much as I could, barely passed, which was another hit to my ego. I was like,
oof.
how can I?
Yeah,
Yeah, but I did something, came back, and eventually, when I started preparing for for the pre med exams, entrance exams, I that held a lot of weightage. The exam that I almost passed and held a lot of weightage, and there was also the fact that I kept losing my seat by a couple of marks. So just by 2 to 3 marks, I would lose a government seat, and that would genuinely push me back thousands of kids. So competition is that
oof.
fierce here.
Wow.
And
Yeah,
yeah, and I remember I took a drop year to try again because obviously I just lost by a couple of marks, right? Like I can definitely
you
cover
can
that
figure
up
that
in
out,
a
right? Yeah.
year's time. Yeah. But it didn't work out, to be completely honest, because I remember towards the end, every time I would sit down to write an exam, I would just go into a panic state, right? I would have like sweaty palms. I would breathe heavily. Things would blank out. I'd just be there like, get me out of here.
Yeah.
So for a
Phew.
really long time, yeah, I mean, that was really crazy. And now that I look back doing the work that I do, I recognize that that was like student burnout that I went through. I was just not
Yeah.
aware about it. As like everyone's probably going through this. So it was pretty hectic. Once again, I kind of lost the seat by a couple of marks. So I was like, dang, no matter
Yeah.
how I try. And after that point, I didn't want to take another drop year to figure it out. I just knew that I couldn't do this again. I couldn't,
That's gotta
go
be.
through
Yeah.
the entire process all over again. and I chose another profession. And I remember I got into hotel management. I was one of the top students there. Once again, the thing kept carrying forward that I was one of the top students. I was there in everything that I could possibly be in. And I remember it was 2018. We had gotten to know that my dad had cancer in 2017, and his prognosis was not really good. Like we just had like 5 years with him, but then
Yeah.
he had recovered. Like in 2018 March, we knew that he recovered. He was completely clean. We were like, amazing, can't believe it, this is so dope. And
Yeah.
I remember April 15th, I got a call from my mom that uh, in April we got to know that it had come back again. He
Come
had
back.
relapsed. Yeah. And we were waiting in the hospital, like he was waiting in the hospital to get his chemo started up all over again. April 15th, I got a call from my mom that that's not looking well. You need to come back. And I remember rushing back. At that point of time, I didn't even know if he was alive, or, it was just like my mom trying to ensure that I safely come back home at least.
Yeah.
So it was very chaotic. I had my exams on April 24th. I remember that. So I was preparing for my exams at
Well,
that time. So the stress of that, along with the stress of my dad not being well,
yeah.
was very chaotic. And
Were they
dang, I.
similar though? Like if you look back,
Mhm.
that you have this now awareness of what that feels like. You sweaty palms and heart racing and having a
I
hard
mean,
time breathing. Is it similar to how you all of a sudden felt with your dad now that you look back when you kind of felt like, okay, I need to get back, and you had no idea what was going on? Or no,
I
they're two
was.
different feelings?
Yeah, no, they definitely were two different feelings. I remember though with my dad, I was suppressing a lot of things, right? Like when my mom called me at 12 o'clock at night, which gave me another trauma. Like after that point of time, I would always feel panicked every time my phone rang for like 2-3 years. Every time my phone rang, I would be
Sure.
like, dang. Yeah.
Now
And
what? Yeah.
yeah. Right. And I I remember taking a cold shower to calm myself down. Like these things I know about now. Then I just instinctually just went, took a cold shower, stood underneath the water, calm myself down. I was like, okay, I'm doing everything that I can in my control is to go back,
Yeah.
get a flight, reach home as soon as possible. Bless my friends, they genuinely helped me figure out tax. Like they booked my flights, they did everything for
Oh
me.
wow.
They helped me get back home, and that was fine. Things were working, and then suddenly they weren't working anymore. He was out of danger, and then he was back in danger. And I think it was on April 24th that uh, we lost him. And our
Hmm.
doctors had told us on 22nd of April that, I think, yeah, a couple of days before he passed away, that we couldn't, we had an option to either put him on a ventilator, but things weren't looking good. So
Yeah.
I could either choose to, I mean, we could either choose to do that or just let him pass away peacefully. And we were thinking
Yeah.
about it, and the amount of pain he was in, man, JD, I can't even.
Yeah.
Oof. I remember
And that's a
praying
hard
on the
that's a
morning.
hard decision, and I think
Yeah.
people kind of disregard that like, oh yeah, that's easy. Like, of course we want them to
Oh
live,
no.
but what you said
Yeah.
right there, that the pain, we forget what they're going through, and as well as you with this process, right?
Yeah, no, it's really difficult. I remember on the morning of 24th, he was in the ICU and we could hear his cries still out. Like he was in that much
Hmm.
pain. And we had decided against the ventilator, but on the morning of 24th, I was like, I genuinely begged God. I was like, if you're not healing him, at least take him away, because he doesn't deserve the pain he is in right now.
He doesn't
He
deserve
has
that.
been
Yeah.
such a good man all his life. He doesn't deserve it. Um,
Yeah.
all this time, mom was a really huge strength. She was like, if we will let him go very peacefully, we will
Yeah.
stand tall, and we'll let him know that we love him, and we'll let him know that we'll figure it out. And there was that aspect to it. And I feel like a lot of times, I remember, and this is going to sound so crazy, after Dad passed away, me and my brother went up to the hotel room, and it was almost like a switch, right? We
Yeah.
didn't cry. I mean, I was crying when he was going away, but my mom just looked at me like, don't let him go,
Yeah.
knowing that we are here to
You're
support him.
strong.
Yeah, we are strong. Before that and after that, we cried for sure, but at that moment my mom was like, not right now.
Yeah.
Let him know that we are powerful and he has done everything that he could for us. But I remember going back into the hospital room, and I just switched on, like, me and my brother opened up TV and we were just randomly watching things. Like, we processed her grief very differently.
Sure. Yeah.
It was very different. Like, I remember one of the biggest trends for me at that point of time was the boy band BTS. Like, I had been following them for a really long time, but every single, like, I used to binge listen to their songs because I needed a way to feel things, right? And
Yeah.
I remember, dang it, it was so crazy. I remember we have like a 13-day process of grieving here in India. And at that point of time, things just went by in a blur. We were all working on autopilot. We were taking care of all the guests who had come in the house. We were feeding everyone. Like, I remember so many of my friends' parents had come by, and I would just like, it would take me 2 to 3 minutes to register who the person in front of me was,
Yeah.
because I was just on autopilot. I was just like, someone's here. I don't know who this person is, but they're here. So I was like, hey, do you guys want any water? Do you guys want any tea? Like, should I get any snacks
Sim-
for you guys?
Simple stuff
Yeah.
to kind of distract you from really facing it
Yeah.
head on.
Yeah. I mean, we did face it head on, right? Like, there was that aspect of it that we knew what the reality was. Yeah, we knew what the reality was. And we just moved through it.
Yeah.
We just shut off. I remember after the 13th day, when everyone had left, everyone, like all our relatives, everyone who had come in, I remember feeling so angry with the relatives who had come by, because they were trying to be like, let us take care of, when the body had arrived, we have again a process, right? And
Yeah.
I remember feeling frustrated that they wanted to take part and they wanted to be the first person who could do anything in
Yeah.
terms of the rituals that we had to do. And I was like, you don't deserve that. You guys didn't show up for an entire year.
Yeah.
When he was like, my mom and my brother were the only ones who were dealing with everything that went on, from the chemo to when people go through chemo, they get very aggravated, they get very irritable.
Sure. Yeah.
My family went through that. You guys never showed up. You guys showed up at the end, and now I
Yeah.
showed up in the end, and even I felt disgusted because I was in college. Everyone, my family told me, "You do your job. We are doing everything we can to take care of him over here." It was my third year, and there were 4 years of college, and I remember feeling so guilty. But I knew that at that point of time, all I could do was ensure that my parents knew that I was doing everything I can to support them, and
Yeah.
I wasn't like being quote unquote a burden, like, oh, because that's emotional burden, right? uh
Yeah. Oh,
she's not
absolutely.
she's
Right.
not studying because of us. She's not doing everything that she possibly can because of us. I didn't want that to happen, so I studied my butt off. I remember that. But I felt like I didn't have the right at that point of time to do as much as my mom and my brother did. And so I was really aggravated with all the people who came by. I remember someone commenting that you didn't do enough for us as he was going away. And I was like, he gave his life for you guys. What the hell are you guys talking about? And I was
Yeah.
really irritated. I was very irritated. I was very angry, but I was just moving through things. I was just
Yeah.
one after the other. I was just like, oh, I'm feeling this emotion. All right, great. Next emotion, next emotion, next emotion. And after the 13th day, after everyone had left, I think it was at that point that we started to grieve him properly. right?
Yeah.
And it was, I feel like our grieving process, it wasn't, I don't know what's normal when it comes to grieving. I'm not even gonna lie. I thought that there was a normal grieving process, but now I just know that everyone just goes through it differently. Like my brother didn't cry, but he held on to so many emotions, and he still does. I'm pretty sure my mom
Yeah.
has a different way of expressing her emotions. I remember 1 year later down the line, I once again had my exams because I'd gone back to university for 4 months, and I couldn't function the entire day. I just once again went to write the exam in a blanked out state, wrote whatever I could, and
Yeah.
came back. And I remember just sleeping it off. Like in between the exam, I just closed my eyes, I lied down, didn't do anything for like half an hour during the
Yeah.
time when he was passing. I mean, I feel like there are all these different ways of grieving. Over the years, I was like, he's with us. So I started like, again, this is gonna sound crazy, but I started talking to him, right? I was like, hey dad, how you doing? Good morning, Appa. Good morning, Vijupa.
Yeah.
Just started talking to him. Like at any point of time, I would feel like there is this moment of difficulty or struggle as like, what you doing up there? Take care of us.
Not silly. Not
Sounds crazy.
silly at all. You know, I mean,
Yeah,
it may sound silly to you because if you had been told prior to your dad passing that that might be something that you'll be doing, you might have
yeah,
been like, "This, no, no, I wouldn't do that. That's not me."
yeah,
So it might sound silly there, but I mean, you never know how your mind is going to react and how it's going to tell you that here's to kind of to help work you
yeah,
through it. You know, it's there to protect you.
yeah. No, yeah, I mean, that's a bit about me. And I feel like after that point, I had once again, going back to what we originally started out with, I had once again burnt out really badly at the end of 2019. And yeah, things started to show up after 2020. When the pandemic hit us, I was anxious. I had developed health anxiety after that point of time. Like I had health anxiety before that, but it just grew to an enormous level
Yeah.
after Dad passed away. Like I would have nightmares of just roaming around in the hospital, just going from one nurse to
Oof.
other to kind of, yeah, it was very chaotic. Um, and I think towards the end of 2020, I genuinely sat down, grounded myself, thought about what I want to do, what my purpose is in life. And one of the things that genuinely guided me was one of the things that dad had told us that, hey, you know what? All I want you to do, I don't care what you do in life. All I want you to do is be good citizens. That just, yeah, that was one of the guiding things that helped me decide the work that I do right now. And ironically, I came back to once again helping people. Yeah,
Just in not the way you expected or not the way you may have would have seen in the beginning,
yeah,
but right, I mean
definitely.
there's different ways of doing that. So talk to me about what you do now and you know how that was informed by all this, and is it part of, did it stem from part of the grieving process even?
Um, I am not sure, to be honest. I mean, a part of it may be because the title that I have is Freedom Soul Coach, and um, for a really long time we were a very spiritual family, right? Like from the very get go, we would have spiritual discussions as we were kids. Like my parents were really open about it, so we would have spiritual discussions. We would talk about philosophies of life, our part in this world, and all of that stuff. And I remember that I had moved away from it during my teenage years because there was a lot of bad media surrounding spirituality, and I was like, I don't want to be associated with that. But I think that after Dad passed away, there was this aspect of me getting back in touch with my spirituality, and that genuinely helped me to become the person that I am right now. Like a lot of the work that I do, at the center of it all, there is spirituality that exists, and I have my dad to thank for that because he was someone who guided us on this journey. So yeah, there's definitely that aspect of it. Currently what I do is I help people once again with stress management and burnout. Having gone through stress, having burnt out a couple of times in there, I was like, I remember starting out wanting to help people reconnect with themselves because that was a journey that I was up on part of
Yeah.
in 2020 was just reconnect with myself and how much spirituality helped me with that. And I remember one of my mentors asking, "This is powerful, but what else?" And that was when burnout came into the scenario. So from
Yeah.
burnout, I recognized that burnout happens because of improper stress management over a really long period of time. So
Sure.
it's
Absolutely
stress
does.
that I need to help people with. And so that's the journey that I am on right now.
What, you're probably going to repeat yourself, but just going to maybe just expand on it more. I think you talked about what your dad said, but what, and it may be different. So don't apologize if it's something different, but
Mm-hmm.
what's the best advice that you've been given through all this, and why is it the best advice?
Hmm. I am not sure. There was so much that I learned from my dad and from my mom as well. Um do you mean best advice that I got from my dad or best advice that I got
Just
during my
in
coaching journey?
general, like I said, I mean, if it's something different, I mean, you kind of said
Yeah.
there for a second that, I learned that from my dad, or like, this is something that my dad told me.
Yeah. I feel
So it doesn't necessarily
it's
have to be from him, but altogether.
yeah. Altogether, I think it's just to follow your heart. I remember my dad being the life of the party. And as an introvert, I never understood how. I was like, how does this dude
How
do
is someone
this,
so
right? Like,
excited?
yeah, how someone's so excited. Exactly, how someone's so excited. What the hell? Um, but I feel like at the end of the day, it's being authentic to who you are as an individual and tapping into your passion. As I grow up, I recognize that I reflect a lot of both my mom's characteristics and my dad's characteristics in the fact that my dad was a multi-passionate dude and I am a multi-passionate person. My mom's very caring by nature. Like, she's someone who holds the family together, and I am that person in my own aspect. Like, I hold whoever I consider to be family in that regard of, I need to care for this person. Um, so I feel like there are both these aspects, but at the end of it all, it's be yourself and let things flow as they flow, because at the end of the day there are things that you can control and there are things that you can't control. I think what I would love to, and once again this might feel a bit woo woo, but I remember one of the days, my dad taught me how to do healing. My dad taught me how to be in that space where you can connect to the universe, connect to, general spiritually stuff. And I remember one of the days before I decided to become a coach, I genuinely sat down and I was like, what's my purpose? Like, what am I doing? Who am I? And one of the answers that I received was, you're just a part of the universe. And the universe just let you get away from it for a while. Like, it told you that, hey, if you want, you can go down there, experience life for what it is. And when you come back, just bring a good story, because I'm bored the hell out. Like, I know everything and yet I don't know enough. And so I want you to go experience the story and come back with a great story. So I feel like at the end of the day, all I'm trying to do is make a good story. Yeah, I want to become a good story that will be told to the people that come here, but also will be told to the universe, that the universe feels that, that was a good choice.
That was a good
I'm
choice.
glad. Yeah, I'm glad that you decided to experience life for whatever it looks like. And I feel like that is so true when it came to my dad. He, like, people still fawn over him, and I'm like, why? Dude's dead for 4 years. I'm kidding you. But there is that aspect, right? Like,
Sure.
he lived a good life, he lived a good story. And so that's why we tell his story. So at the end of the day, it's about becoming a good story that can be told to people around us, but also will make the universe feel satisfied with the fact that, I let a part of me go away for a while and it came back with something more beautiful to add on to me. So yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.